Secure the bag. Don't even blink, make them walk the plank. Light them up, let's make them sing. Fire the cannons, fire the cannons, fire the cannons. On Bucs, yeah, we on. Fire the cannons, fire the cannons, fire the cannons. The whole field's our red zone. Let me give you 55 reasons why this is our season. Palm trees breezing, opposing teams bleeding.
The wait is over. We are almost here for the regular season. Kickoff is just days away for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. My name is Gene from Buck What You Heard. You follow me, I will follow you back. I'm joined by my co-host, Michael Pless, and my man, KB, who has been MIA doing his thing, making all that money out there. How's everything going?
Going well. I like the new title for you there, Pless.
Oh. Appreciate it.
So, guys, here we are, man. I cannot believe that we've made it through the offseason, which was twice as painful because Tom Brady's no longer with us, and made it through. And here we are. And my theme this year is cautiously optimistic. I kind of like what I've seen. I'm good with it, and let's see what the Bucs do, And I want to kind of get your guys' idea. Get your thoughts on everything. KB, what do you think, man?
I mean, I think we have to be more optimistic going into this season than 2018. And what happened in 2018, Ryan Fitzpatrick had probably the best start you can ask for any quarterback, much less your backup. So if the Bucs in 2018 can walk into New Orleans and drop a near 50 burger on the Saints, you can rest ease that Minnesota is going to be at least a winnable game. Like it's not going to be. If it was the Eagles, I think that'd probably be the only game in our schedule. I'd be like, okay, yeah. Maybe at the Bills Thursday night. Other than those two games, I mean, I feel like the schedule's wide open.
Plus,
yeah, I think the vibe is definitely different. I think especially from last year. And I talked about this last night on the Loose Cannons pod. I was like, you could just tell there's a difference last season. I don't know what it was, but, once Ryan Jensen got injured, it just seemed like everything went out, the air just got taken out of the team. And this offseason, it's been, they've been underdogs. They've been not talked about at all, really. A lot of people expect this team to compete for the first overall pick. And we know there's plenty of talent on this team. So I'm excited to see what this team can do. I'm excited about the new offense, the new offense coordinator. I just feel like there's positive vibes throughout the building. And I think that's going to pay big dividends. And we'll just have to see, the main key is, can Canales, be that guy? I think he can be. And I think he can help this offense progress how it needs to. And then defensively, we have everything we need as far as the defense goes. So it's going to be a fun season. I think it's going to be more fun than it has been in the past couple of years, just because we know the process is going to be a lot better than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, most definitely. The lights aren't on the Bucs right now, is in a manner of speaking.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I kind of take away from all this is that this team's going to surprise some teams that they face. They're going to surprise the media, I believe, just, with consistency and playing together. If that's what they end up doing. When I look at the Bucs, top to bottom, I say this is a team that can be in any game of game 1 to game 17 and anywhere in between. They can be in these games. They just need to play as a team and everybody do their job. And I think one of the other things that we got to kind of factor in is injuries and, limit, if you're limited on injuries, I think the Bucs will be just fine. And in the chat, Krillin is hilarious. I like that dude, man. I'm happy to have him here checking out the show. Welcome. And yeah, you can talk here. Whatever you got to say it, man. This is a safe zone for you. So let it rip, man. Mm-hmm. But when you look at this team, man, there are some people coming back from injuries like Kalijah Cansey. Have you heard how his practices are going or anything.
Yeah, I mean, he was limited, limited today, but it's a great sign that he practiced. So, I think he's potentially could be on track to get some snaps this week. I think on a limited snap count basis, where maybe they just put him in on third downs and see what he can do. But I mean, it remains to be seen. I think Ken talked about it before the show. I think more of next week is when we fully see him, at home against Chicago. Um, and really, I mean, you're not going to be counting on a rookie right now. You have other guys that can come in and do what is needed. That's why they brought back Will Golston, come in and provide that veteran depth. And obviously, you want to see what Logan Hall can do next to Vita Vea. And then you also have, Greg Gaines and other guys that can step up and hopefully, make plays.
So I'm going to go around the horn here. I'm going to start with KB. Who is that one player that the Bucs have that you want to see what he's capable of doing, that you kind of single out of all the players?
Well, I think the first one would be Cody Mock, but we'll see what this back injury is. Hypothetically, if he doesn't play, I'm just going to go Trey Palmer. I mean, if we have a third wide receiver weapon on offense, and we've touched on Canales all offseason, basically. I mean, the more this guy talks, every press conference, like I don't listen to him. I pretty much tune Bowles out of my head. I mean, he kind of is what it is. He had a nice little interview with Rick Stroud, kind of talking about the ending of last season and dealing with like Leftwich and that type of turmoil, which is fine. But every time Canales speaks, man, I'm tuned in. I will stop what I'm doing to just listen to Canales speak. I think he's going to liven this up, but we know what's going to happen with at least Mike. He's going to roll an ankle. He's going to, strain a calf or hammy. He's going to be at least limited at some point. And Godwin, when he's been hurt, it's been usually more catastrophic, season ending. But if one of those two goes down, I mean, Trey Palmer, this is for whether you're a fantasy or week 3 before bullets really start flying and, players start getting hurt.
Well, I really believe Trey Palmer will as productive as he consistently was productive in the preseason, which really bodes well for him getting more playing time throughout the regular season. And regardless of who your favorite player is, if you're listening right now, regardless who your favorite Bucs player is, they will see some action, except for maybe Keyshawn Vaughn. I don't know. But everybody else will more than likely see some action this year.
That's if he shows up.
Yeah.
Just
he came back. I personally, maybe you guys can help me understand this. I don't see what the draw is for Keyshawn Vaughn. I saw his college tape. I watched it very closely. Very explosive when he gets speed and space. But since he's been with the Bucs, I just consistently have not seen that. You see bursts of it. You see one spectacular play, and then it's crickets for a little bit, and then again you might see another play. I don't know what is the draw with him. Is it special teams? Because we know what a special teams player he is, but that can't be the only draw. You can't hold a roster spot because you're good at special teams.
I mean, you can hold a roster spot, but there's a reason why he went from RB2 to 4, literally in the snap of a finger, because he was RB2 the entire unofficial depth charts of preseason. So right. That at least tells me, again, if we're with Leftwich, I think he would still be, just from experience, be the RB2. But this staff, I have a lot of faith in this staff, and they've said the right things, and now they're doing the right things, in my opinion, whether it be on offense or within the depth chart. I think there's a reason why, Vaughn is RB4. Chase Edmonds offers a dynamic that none of the running backs can offer. So he's already penciled in, whether you want to call him a third down back, running back 3. He's not going anywhere unless he gets hurt. Sean Tucker's the real deal.
Yeah.
He was doing a lot with that backup offensive line. And some of Vaughn's luck in preseason has been the past couple preseasons. Like there's plays that the offensive line just gets blown up and he doesn't go anywhere. But what Vaughn doesn't do is make that guy miss. Tucker showed it. White showed it.
Yeah, definitely.
He's already,
and we already know what you get from Chase. I mean, the way the natural way he catches the ball, I see a lot of Rashad White. When he catches the ball, he's not struggling to catch the ball and then turn the field. It's just a natural flow for him to do that.
Well, Edmonds is also the juice. He's the guy if you want to do something fun, like we think about Tompkins, like last year doing wide receiver end around, Scotty Miller, he's in there for juice plays. Like Scotty Miller ain't playing 75% snaps.
Right.
He's in there for those 6 snaps, and you better know where Scotty Miller is. That's what Chase Edmonds is, but at the running back position.
Yeah, and I think that's what you're going to get with Trey Palmer. But you have a guy who's got nicer hands than a Scotty Miller. And I'm going to go on record saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, as far as Keyshawn Vaughn, I think he's just a guy, and
mid. I like that.
yeah, he's mid. He offers value on special teams, but as far as like being active on game day, I wouldn't be shocked if he's not active on Sunday, just because of what happened yesterday with the practice, and you don't really need him. I mean, like Ken said, you have Chase Edmonds as your third down specialist, 2-minute guy. Then you have Sean Tucker, who can just give you that juice, that has a different element. Yeah, different element to his game. And then Rashad White's going to be the feature back. I mean, he's going to get the complete workload. So you're pretty much set there. And it's unfortunate for Keyshawn, his career just hasn't worked out the way he might have wanted. But again, this is why it's the NFL. It's the best of the best. And unfortunately, he's just a guy, there's nothing really
just don't think
his
skill set didn't transcend from college to the pros. It just didn't.
He was already an older college athlete too. So it's like,
doesn't help
it's the whole draft dynamic of like, you never want to draft a 26-year-old quarterback because they're going to have more experience, but that doesn't mean they're going to offer you the upside. And that's what Bond was. It was a reach in the 3rd round. Like, for instance, Yaya Diaby is a 3rd-round pick from this year, right? Yaya Diaby showed some flashes in college, but he's not a finished product. Like Vaughn, we were getting a finished product in their mind. It was like, hey, we're going to get an older running back that's going to be on a cheap deal that can do a lot of things that Brady can work with. Like if we didn't, in the playoff game against the Eagles, he'd be great. But like, you don't. If Keyshawn Vaughn's your running back, one, you're either having a ton of injuries or you literally don't have any options. Which
there's just no consistency
on the market. At the moment Rashad White gets hurt or something, you can sign a Hunt or something to like a vet min deal. I mean, Vaughn ain't going anywhere.
Right.
He's staying at RB4.
Yeah.
So, just kind of moving on, and I do want to address the elephant in the room. Everybody is talking about it this week is Mike Evans. We heard from different people. Finally, we heard from the agent. This is what, they gave until Saturday. I think Saturday is when the last time they can talk about this. For me, I understand that the NFL is a business. Totally get it. But this is a fan show. I'm a fan. I've loved Mike Evans since he came here. When I heard that, the Bucs weren't looking at Johnny Manziel, they're looking at Mike Evans. Oh man, I was, happy as I could be. This guy is exceptional. And he is not disappointed any fans. I mean, play-wise, since he's been here. Mike Evans is my guy. I mean, I've seen players like Kevin House. I've seen Keenan McCardell, Joe Jaravicius. I mean, you can go down the list. Mike Williams. There've just been so many that wide receivers that have been here. But to consistently, game in, game out, go out there and play at a high level, this is what Mike Evans has done. And, again, there may have been stretches where he wasn't utilized like he could have been. And, again, you kind of have to look at your offensive coordinator or whoever's calling the plays at that time. I'm not going to get into that. But every opportunity Mike Evans has been given, whether it's been a mediocre quarterback like a Mike Glennon or McCown, Jameis Winston, the list goes on and on. Mike Evans has produced. And it just – as a fan, and I'm only talking as a fan, like I said, I understand it's a business, so please do not put business in there, shooter, because I know that you will. That's exactly what you're going to try to do there, buddy. But no, all joking aside, Mike Evans deserves to retire a Buck. I mean, all the things that he had gone through from his rookie season up until he won the Super Bowl. And I think Mike Evans Mike Evans was one of the main ones that I was just excited that he was able to win a Super Bowl based on all that he'd gone through. He learned from one of the best with Vincent Jackson when Vincent Jackson was here. And I think in just the occurrence of events was just perfect because I think he instilled a lot in Vincent Jackson instilled a lot into Mike Evans to make him the player that he is today. And I'm just happy that he's been a Buck, that he is a Buck. And all these assholes out there, Mike Florio, what I say to Mike, I cannot stand Mike Florio, but he's all over the story now because it affects the Bucs. If you guys are following Mike Florio,
I have him blocked.
Yeah, I have him blocked too.
That guy's a Minnesota Vikings fan, by the way. Huge Vikings fan.
He has exactly. Finally, somebody understands where I've been going with this. The guy's a scumbag. And he tries to play it off like
huge Vikings fan.
Yeah, exactly. So I haven't checked him out or anything like that this week, but I'm sure that he's really chomping at the bit to see.
That's why I hope the Bucs just stomp the Vikings this week somehow, some way, just beat the crap out of him, just to shove it in Mike Florio's face.
Exactly.
That guy is a complete douchebag.
Yeah, he's been a Bucs hater. I remember he was the one back in 2010 that started the rumor that the Bucs were moving to LA. That's the kind of scumbag this guy is.
Oh yeah.
But I'll go around the horn here, but that's just my opinion about Mike Evans. As a fan, I want him to pay him. I would love for Mike Evans to retire here, even if he started to decline, in a couple of years, I would still want Mike Evans to retire here. He means so much to Tampa with his foundation. With everything that he's done, the changes that he's been willing to make with his contract, and just throughout the season, everything he's done to help the Buccaneer organization, they need to be ready to return the favor to him.
Okay, so the best and worst case scenario of Mike Evans is Ryan Jensen. I say that best case scenario, what happens, last offseason, Brady unretires, Jensen probably wasn't in their plans. Brady comes back. Oh, Jensen, you're super important. We need you. Here's a last-second offer before free agency starts. That's the best case scenario for what Mike Evans, can occur. The worst case scenario is, what has Ryan Jensen done since that moment he signed that contract? Yeah. Not his fault.
Right. Injured.
He hasn't played a snap, and he's never going to play a snap on that contract. So that's just where I think, again, it sounds like Light wants to make the deal. It sounds like Greenberg can make whatever deal work. That doesn't sound like it's an issue. Shaq Barrett's contract just got restructured. Shaq's going to be here, it sounds like. Like they're really happy with his progress from the Achilles. Bowles has said good things. They restructured the contract, which means not only is he here this year, but definitely at least next year.
Yeah. So
that basically ties Shaq down. And then from Mike Evans' standpoint, it's like, hey, if we suck, but I'm not saying we're going to be a 3-win team. Hypothetical here. Let's say we are a 3-win team. Let's say we're a top 3 pick. Does Mike Evans want to go through a rebuild? Yeah. Do the Bucs want to pay pay $40+ million because Russell Gage is going to be here next year? So they're going to pay $50 million for that wide receiver position. So that's just where they're at. It sounds like Light's okay with it. Greenberg's okay with it. But it sounds like the Glazers are. So that tells me the Glazers want to, and it's probably the same thing with Bowles. Hey, are they going to bring in a new head coach next year? I think where the Glazers are at, and I'm not saying they're right, and I'm not saying I'm going to post hashtag Glazers out either.
I'm not getting into that.
Where ownership is they want to see, hey, is Bowles going to be a good enough head coach for us next year? Is our quarterback, what's our quarterback's plan going to be for next year? Am I going to be shelling out $40 million for insert whatever quarterback via trade? Are we trading all these draft picks? Do we bring back Mike, Tristan, Antoine? Do we get anything else? Like, what's Jason Licht's plan next year? And I just think none of that's established. So from the Glazers standpoint, it's like, I don't think the Glazers dislike Mike either. Mike gives them so much jersey sales. Gene, whose jersey are you wearing right now? Like Mike
Tom Brady.
Evans, the Bucs support all of Mike Evans's charities. I think they just are on a wait and see approach. If anything, if it's like the Devin White situation, if Mike Evans comes out here with a 1,000-yard season and the Glazers let him walk out the door, the fan base will absolutely destroy him. But if Mike Evans goes for 1,000 yards and Mike Evans gets an extra couple million in another year on his contract, Mike Evans wins as well. Well, that's the dichotomy right now. It's this team is at a crossroads. Are they going to go this way or are they going to go this way? I think Mike Evans is in the plans for both avenues, but
I will say this.
That right this second is my understanding.
I'm going to say this right here. When you and I mentioned this earlier on when I was in my diatribe here about this, but Mike Evans, regardless who the quarterback has been, Mike Evans is adjusted to whoever the quarterback has been. I don't see, and again, his, I understand he's 30, 31, whatever. His play has not dropped off. And I realize Father Time is undefeated, and at any moment, he can fall off a cliff. We saw that with Brent Grimes, for example, as an example. And now I know they're apples and oranges, but just as an example, you get what I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, when you look at, and even though this is a business, when you look at what Mike Evans has meant to this team, what he's done, he's gone out of his way to do things to help the team. He could have been like, man, I ain't reestablishing, I ain't readjusting my contract for you guys. Fuck y'all. Y'all figure it. That's a management problem. That ain't a me problem. But he's been very, he's just been there. He's been there for this team. I mean, he was instrumental in the Bucs winning the Super Bowl. So I don't know. And I understand the what have you done for me lately? He got another 1,000 yards last year. What a trash offensive coordinator. Yeah. Still got it. Still, despite Lord Byron, he still got 1,000 yards. So I mean, to me, this guy, consummate professional. I mean, I've been like trying to wrap my head around this. I mean, the only wide receiver I can think of in Bucs history consistently that balled out was like a Mike Evans. I can't even compare it to as Kevin House. But I can't even compare the two because Mike Evans is totally on another level. He's broken every important record that, receiving record that the Bucs have. This guy, he is the GOAT. I mean, when it comes right down to it. And I really believe that the fact that his play is not tapered off and he's remained healthy, whereas we remember early on, hamstring injury. You don't know what to expect from Mike Evans this season, hamstring. And then he comes back and he performs well. But I would say since Tom Brady, he's been keeping his body pretty healthy. And, he's been on the field, the best ability is availability. And we've gotten that from Mike Evans. So I don't know.
Also, I believe in karma, and I love the way both him and his agent have come at this. Whether Mike stays, I'm operating under the assumption Mike's going to stay with the Bucs, at least through the, the Jerry Rice. Let's say he gets 1,000 yards this year, they'll probably sign him out those other 2-3 years, to finish out maybe that streak for the consecutive of all time. I think that's what makes the most sense for both parties. But the way that they're handling it, Mike Evans is not taking the Bucs off of his social media. No. He's not bashing anyone in the building, management, ownership, none of it.
See that 45? That's how you handle business.
Well, it's not just him. Think of Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's agent got involved, and he did Times New Roman 2-point font. Kyler took his all Arizona-related things off of his. But what happened, though, Gene? And Kyler's not the only one. They just cowered and gave the money because they didn't have anything. The Cardinals had nothing else going on. They didn't know they'd be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. But, from the Bucs standpoint, I understand their position. But I really like the way that the agency and Mike are handling the situation because that's the last thing the Bucs need right now. And then I also think it's the last thing Mike Evans needs right now. is all these distractions, and
that just raises his value right there. The
that's
fact that
what I
he's
mean.
handling like
Now,
he's handling.
what is every fan right now, Gene? They're on Mike Evans' side. They're not on
That's
the
right.
Glazers side.
Yeah.
And the agent already made Glazers public enemy number one. Don't hate on Light. Don't hate on Greenberg. It's the Glazers. And remember, it's not Malcolm Glazer. There's like 6 Glazers that own the Bucs. So there's probably a structure. You know, there might be one brother or sister that's the majority. I forgot which one's which. I know Darcy's involved. But that's the only name that's really sticking out to me. Brian and Joel are like the 3 Glazers that I know of. So like it's a family thing. Again, the whole family has to come to a decision. Have you seen the movie Air? You saw this when Michael Jordan is meeting with Adidas in Germany. The Matthew Damon's character is like, you're going to go see them. They're going to tell you 3 different things, and that they're all, you know, in unison and in decision when really they're not. That might be the Glazers behind closed doors right now. So I'm just saying, just don't rush to a conclusion. I think Mike Evans, if he plays 17 games, not only is he going to get 1,000 yards, he's going to get every cent from the Glazers' pocket that he not only earned but deserves.
Yeah, more so than anything. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there's a list of Bucs players and how much they were paid throughout their careers. And I was looking at Mike Evans, and Mike Evans needs to be number 1. He just does.
Brady made $100 million in 3 years.
Oh yeah, Brady was up there on that list.
So Mike Evans is probably, if I saw that graphic correctly, I think Mike Evans is number 1, but Brady's like 3 or 4 for all-time Bucs earners.
But it was wild to see that. So plus I want to kind of get back to the game that we have coming up, because a lot of people have already watched this as the Bucs loss. I mean, just everybody I've talked to or listened to. Kurt, not my cousins, is that's your quarterback right there, and he's been hit and miss, man. We don't know. You don't know what to expect from Kurt, not my cousins. And again, this is one of those games where you don't have a Dalvin Cook that you can hand the ball off to having toting the rock right now. This Minnesota Vikings team looks a little bit different than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, definitely. And, I talked about it today with our video on Real Bucs Talk, but yeah, the offense is definitely their strength. I think that's the strength of their team. They were 8th in scoring last year. They averaged, 23 points per game. And Kirk Cousins is a big part of that. He knows how to get the ball to his playmakers. And obviously that starts with Justin Jefferson, getting him the football. And then, obviously they're going to try to run the football as well with Alexander Madison, who's another good running back. This is his first year as full-time starter. But the game plan is always the same against Kirk Cousins. It's about finding that interior pressure. It's about finding ways to get him off his spot, hit him as much as possible, and force him to start getting rid of the ball faster than he wants to. And hopefully you can force some turnovers that way. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough because it's a well-schemed offense. They know how to get guys open. If you guys checked out the video we put out about stopping Justin Jefferson, you have to know where he is at all times, because they put him in every position possible: running back, slot, receiver. It doesn't matter. Like, the
guy's a freak of nature.
Jet sweeps to him. They just know how to get
him a lot in the slot.
Yeah, he's probably going to be in the. Probably going to be in the slot, quite often, and
every third down, in my opinion.
It's going to be interesting to see, like, how do the Bucs match up? Are they going to play more zone, where maybe do some zone fire blitzes, or are they going to try to win with the front 4 early on? That's going to be the big situation to look for.
Well, you know what? The way I'm seeing this is. Is this one of those games where you try to let Kirk Cousins beat you? I love the fact I'm comfortable with the fact that
you like that, Gene. You want to bring that back to life?
I mean, when you got Todd Bowles calling the plays, I'm pretty comfortable with that. I know everybody's still holding against him the whole Rams thing or whatever. That's water under the bridge. I'm happy with his play calling. And again, you see the title of this show, cautiously optimistic. I'm going to go a step further. If you can get home with 4, I mean, you've got a win right there. I mean, it's just a win for the Bucs. I mean, on defense, just being able to pressure the quarterback, and just as you mentioned with Kirk Cousins, if you hit him enough times, that guy is shook the rest of the game, and it just makes it a little bit easier, on your defense. And the front 4 has to work. They have to work. I don't care what anybody says. They have to work, and it needs to start out of the gate fast. It can't be something they build up to. The Bucs have a defense. A lot of these guys are familiar with each other. They've got to make it work immediately.
Yeah, no, I go ahead, Ken.
Go Plus.
Oh, okay. No, I was just going to say, I agree with that. I mean, that I think is something why they invested so much in the defensive line this offseason, trying to get faster, trying to get that more quicker interior pressure. I think that's the big thing. Obviously Vita Vea, he's going to dominate like his usual self. I think that matchup against Garrett Bradbury is going to be a big one to look out for.
It's going to be huge.
Yep. And then you have Logan Hall, and hopefully Logan can come out and just play with some fire and bring that disruptive, to his game as far as getting in the backfield quicker. And then Shaq Bear and JTS, they have favorable matchups as well. I think Christian Darrisaw is probably more so a better run blocker than he is pass blocker. You look at the right tackle, Brian O'Neill. I think he's probably really solid. Like, he's a good right tackle,
right.
A little bit more athletic. So it'll be interesting to see how they match up against him and see, what JTS can do, if he can beat him off the edge with speed, or you got to use more power to his game. So there's matchups to be had. It's just, can they go out there and execute? And I'm sure the Vikings are saying the same thing against our offensive line, especially if Cody Mock isn't playing on Sunday. Granted, he's a rookie and you have some, experienced backups, but still that offensive line has been together the whole offseason. And you would like to see that continue going into Sunday. So yeah, that's going to be the name of the game. How can the Bucs offense protect against the Vikings pressure and blitzes? And the same thing with Minnesota. Can they stop our pressures and our interior as far as the rush goes?
Yeah, and this is going to be a good test right here for Todd Bowles. I think the way these teams are matched up, this could come down to coaching. How do you coach the game? I mean, over head coach versus head coach. And this will be a great opportunity for us to really see. This is Todd Bowles' team this year. And I guess this is his first full season. This is his team. He's got the guys that he wants. He's got the coaching staff he wants. And he's going to run this team the way he sees fit. And this is going to be a great opportunity for him against a Minnesota Vikings team that is favored to win, heavily favored to win. So I think this will be a great opportunity for him. And it will be a great reflection on the team if they can come out and really do something. Again, cautiously optimistic. I love what I saw in the preseason, but you got to sweep all that under the rug and forget about it and look at what you have, coming out. You've got a healthy wide receiver room, which I'm really excited with. I understand with Russell Gage, but with Chris Godwin, a guy who is just coming into his own in the back end of the season from that catastrophic injury. And I've talked about this in the offseason. I expect big things from Chris Godwin. I expect Chris Godwin to frustrate that secondary, that Minnesota secondary, especially. Got offensive coordinator. And one of the things I'm looking for from him is, are you changing things up? Are you making adjustments? Are you keeping the defense on their heels? That's what you need to do. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a great game. I hope the running backs really, excel this game. And that's kind of one of the things I'm looking at. Kind of looking through the chat here. So for you guys, and I know I kind of mentioned this earlier, what are you guys looking for in this game? As like I don't know what to say, a starting point, but towards, what the season could be. What kind of things are you looking for? Because the Bucs historically do not start out fast. So it's going to be one of those things. What are you guys expecting?
Yeah. Go ahead, KB.
I got 4 things for this game. One, well, really edges. So Daniil Hunter is going to be going against Luka Decky. That to me is the matchup of what our offense is basically going to look like. I'm not worried about Harrison Phillips, Jonathan Bullard. Marcus Davenport's a buck killer, but he's going to be going against Wirfs, so I'm not as concerned about
It's a
that.
wash.
Second, I would be blitzing Kirk Cousins all night, not because I think I'm going to get home, but because I want that ball out of his hands. And because of that, I'm looking for TJ Hawkinson, because I'm assuming when Bucs are in single high, that single high is going to be rolling towards Jefferson. So if Levante David has a good coverage game on TJ Hawkinson and or what's his name, Ryan Neal, if he has a good game as a strong safety against a tight end, I think that could bode very well for the Bucs. Third thing to consider is going to be coaching. There are 2 stats for the Vikings last year. They won every single one-score game that they played in. Hold that in mind. They also have the record now for the most points to overcome in a single game, making the comeback and winning the game. Yeah. So no lead is safe. You better not be sitting back playing cover 2, cover 3. If you're going to rush 4, you better win. I would blitz Cousins between the 20s, and I would try to get home with 4 in the red zone and just pray to God that you don't give up 6.
Yep.
4, and it's going to come down to just aggressive. It's going to come down to 24-25 is where I think the Bucs need to score to win this game. The Vikings are very much the way we were in 2021 last year. They're going to put up a shit ton of points, but they had the worst defense in the NFL, or worst pass defense in the NFL last year. So can this team put 7s on the board instead of 3s? That's, to me, going to be the difference in the game. You're going to have 4 or 5 opportunities to score. What are you going to do with them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, Ken. A lot of those points, I see the same. I think the big key for the Buccaneers as far as offense goes is going to be able to run the football. And I think that's where that's going to be the difference we see from this team from last year to this year. They're going to be able to run the football because Rachaad White.
This team, they should be able to.
Yes. Yeah, because if you want to slow down, Danielle Hunter, and you want to slow down, the pass rush and the blitzes of the Vikings, you have to run the football. And I think that's what they're going to try to do. Not saying they're going to come out and just run it. I think you're going to see, some play action. You're going to see some rollouts with Baker Mayfield, get him out on the edge, get some easy completions like we saw against Baltimore Ravens, where you're doing a lot of zone RPOs, zone reads, stuff like that. You might even see Baker run a little bit where he's tucking and running, because I'll tell you what, I see a lot on tape where Danielle Hunter, he crashes hard to that running back, crashes very hard, and there's wide open space to run for the running back. So I would not be surprised to see Baker get maybe 20 to 30 yards rushing in this game, maybe more. But I think Rachaad White is ready for an explosive game. I think he'll have a good number for this game coming up. So that'll be the first key that I'm expecting. And then defensively, like Ken said, I think you have to come out aggressive and try to get home to Kirk Cousins early and often. Try to get at least a couple hits in there, make him get rid of the football. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
He'll get rid of that ball.
Yeah. So you want to. Yeah. So you want to speed him up, like Ken is saying. Make sure you just continue to speed him up, and what that leads to, once he's going fast like that, mistakes will happen, and you got to capitalize on those mistakes. So really, yeah, we want to start fast. Offensively, you would love for them to come out, score on the first drive. And I think the big thing to look for the Vikings defense is they're learning a whole new defense. I know it's Brian Flores, but this is a whole new scheme. And these guys are young, especially in the back end. The secondary is young. That's a complicated defense to be a part of. And you're asking these guys to play man coverage against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I mean, good luck. So if the Buccaneers can max protect and hold up in protection, give Mayfield time, I think it could be a long day, for their defense.
There's if they man up the Bucs, it's game over. It's going to be what basically the Panthers game last year was, the second one, is what I could see this if they play man. If I'm them, I'm playing zone. I'm like, hey, Baker, what you going to do? You going to throw a bad pass? You know, if you want to run like plus it's like what I want Baker to do. I want him to make his passes, make his runs. We can't afford the turnovers this morning.
Right. Yeah, that's the key.
The Bears, you can F around a little bit.
And I think when you think about it, you want the defense on their heels. Because last year it's like they were reading our playbook. I don't say but the Bucs playbook. It's like they knew what was going on.
They're screen sharing in Madden 2000 on
exactly.
N64. You can see both screens and look at what each other.
They downloaded the Todd Bowles offense and just put it on there, and they knew. But the one thing that I will say, I'm really hoping from Dave Canales is adjustments. If something's not working, okay, let's adjust this. We know what does work. Let's work with that. Let's get these guys in place where they can make plays. And it can't be, this is my playbook. This is what I'm going to run this game. And that's it. We can't, you could do that in the 70s and 80s, maybe in the 90s, but you can't do that right now. This is such an offense-oriented league right now. You've got to be able to go out there and make adjustments and say, okay, this isn't working. Let's go to something else. Because the Bucs have the weapon. They have weapons on this team that they can put points on the board if everybody's playing the way they're supposed to.
But if Rashad White, if he gets 20 carries, this is a one-score game that the Bucs can win.
Yeah.
To me, that's what I'm aiming for. I want Rashad to get 4 or 5 carries a quarter at least. Because what that means is you're in the game enough to gash them again up the middle. I mean, we're talking about Marcus Davenport is not the greatest run defender. Neither is Danielle Hunter. Their inside is pretty. They're not beefy on the inside. You can run on this team. And if there's anything I've learned about our offensive line is this year they're going to be a lot better road graders than what they were last year, where they were a pretty good pass protecting offensive line.
And that's even without Mr. Offensive Holding going to Kansas City or wherever.
Hey, that's the key to that game tonight is Aiden Hutchinson versus Donovan Smith. I don't care what anyone says. That's the matchup.
Yeah, but just more on those points you guys were talking about. I think that's going to be interesting to see if that comes to fruition. And like you said, Ken, talking about the Baker taking care of the football, I think that's going to be important. Like, you got to take what's there. What is the defense giving you? Not forcing that deep shot. Now, when that deep shot becomes available, obviously, let's go hit it. Let's let it rip.
Throw it up to Mike, baby. That's what you have Mike for. Throw it up to him. Jameis at least do that.
Yeah.
I think you really, and there are some unspoken heroes in there, but people that I am looking forward to this Dave Canales offense. Coach Springfield, just different players coaches that are out there that I think will help a first-year coach to really progress. I really have high expectations quietly for this team, with this offensive coordinator. I honestly believe this is going to be an upgrade, even though he's never called plays. We don't know. But, I think Lord Byron was a floor. And I think you can't go any lower than the floor, to be honest. So I have high expectations for him to make plays and put this team in a position to win.
Well, the nice thing, at least for I think both Baker and Canales, what's Canales probably going to, come out with? He's probably, again, against this defense, I think it's going to be pretty conservative in terms of keeping, and he's already basically talked about this, like he wanted to keep things as simple as possible for everyone.
Oh, he did. He showed that in the preseason.
You can beat this team with the playbook that you ran out in the preseason with, in my opinion. Because again, 100%. These corners are not going to. If they match up with you 1-on-1, they fucked. I'm sorry, that's just the case here. But if you, if Canales, Flores is going to be making some adjustments in that second half. So I think that's why it's really important for Canales to put up 10-14 in the first half, get something on the board, because I think they're going to be 10-14 too. Get into a one-score game, so that way when you're coming out to the second half, it gives him that ability to breathe. Because if he's down 2 scores in his first game calling plays, that's when things open up, and that's when Baker takes that shot. That's when Canales took a shot maybe he shouldn't have taken. Like the Bucs, I think, need to come out conservative. If they lose this game, I don't think it's the end of the world for anyone. But I think the first 4 weeks of this team is to show incremental progress. And looking at our schedule outside of getting a not cupcake, but like a division game because they're one of the weakest teams to play on our schedule, I think this is the good litmus test for this team. Like the offense to play good, consistent ball, the defense to be aggressive. Like this to me shows the playbook on what this team can be. If we're just playing like the Panthers, who don't have Brian Burns and a rookie quarterback in his first game, even if we won, I can't tell you if we're going to be good or not.
Yeah, 100%.
But this game, they can lose and still show what they need to show. So that way, when we do play the Saints in New Orleans, so when they do play the Eagles at home, they've built on a foundation that then they can open it up. Sean McVay didn't come out and light the world on fire his first year. I think that's what Canales needs to come in, do what he needs to do, keep it simple, keep it basic, because, again, when the Bucs got too cute the past couple of years, even with Brady, with all the amazing weapons, it's when they got too cute is when mistakes started to occur. And I think that's what Canales has. He's very grounded, and I'm really looking forward. I wouldn't expect a touchdown on the first drive, but I think we're going to see a lot more consistency down to down, quarter to quarter, game to game. And that's what the team needs.
And I think the big thing for me was in the preseason, you consistently saw undrafted free agents. You saw rookies. You saw people adjusting to this vanilla scheme that he was running, and they were successful running in this vanilla scheme. And
all 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah, exactly.
And what happened? Alex Trask got cued on 1 pass. And he admitted to it. That's the only blemish of the quarterbacks this entire preseason.
And the thing that gets me is nobody looked lost. Nobody was like, nobody's tapping their helmet, wondering what's going on. These guys were locked in. It's just, there may have been plays where they didn't do what they were supposed to. But at the end of the day, just even the way they called the flow of the game felt different. And you guys know what I'm talking about with the flow of the game. It felt different this season as opposed to last season. When we look at the preseason, and I can remember this because there were plays that were called, and I was like, that was like a drive killer right there, or that didn't really seem to fit in here. But when you look this season, it's like I don't know, it just flowed different. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just like overthinking this. But
what did the Bucs never do? Win. They won 2 out of 3, and the Steelers, I think, are the most depth team I've seen across the board, especially on the defensive line, which is where a lot of the issues occurred. But what that's basically telling me is that game to game, the Bucs, whether it was the first, second, or third string, executed enough to win the game, which again, we saw after the stars would come in, literally for the past 2 decades, it's nosedive. They were able to keep what they were doing afloat. And that's why I love this system, is because it keeps things simple, but with a lemon lime twist there. Where you got
all the penalties you saw in game 1.
3-snap penalties went away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When you simplify off. I'm sorry, Plus. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's what Canales said early in his press conference. When he first got here, he talked about it being complex but simple in delivery. And that's what it is. That's what these offenses are. That's what you have to do. You have to show different variations of the same play and so many, options. And you're not always going to Mike Evans. Next time it's going to be to Chris Godwin. But it's a different variation. It's a different look. Or you could keep going to Mike Evans, but you utilize him in different, you utilize him in the slot, you utilize him, somewhere else. You're going to see Mike Evans take a jet sweep. Like that's going to happen.
Literally, Kate Otten took a jet sweep.
Yeah. So Mike Evans or Chris Godwin's going to take one, and they could probably do a lot more with it than Kate Otten did. And and that's the beauty of it. That's what makes his offense fun. Yes, it's a lot more attacking east and west, but guess what that sets up? It sets the eyes up because they're looking east and west. And guess what? The next play, they get beat downfield deep over the top. And that's what you're trying to create. It's about taking those jabs and then coming in with the knockout blow like he has been talking about.
Yeah.
And Trey Palmer's ascension, so to touch on G Vegas's point here, young receivers couldn't do well in BA scheme because they had to be a quarterback. They had to know how to read a defense. Now you can say Trey Palmer, run a shallow cross. Oh,
that's all
Trey
you do.
Palmer, run a corner off of Mike Evans running a dime.
Exactly.
That's all you need to know for the offense. That's going to be allowing you to get more out of your talent rather than putting square pegs in round holes, which I think Todd Bowles does a really good job defensively. BA, it was just, I think 2020 was a microcosm of a lot of things going right at the right time and no one getting hurt. Like it was.
But I think that was a marriage. That was a marriage of Byron Leftwich, Bruce Arians, and Tom Brady.
Yeah, but the only injury you had was Alex Kappa because Vita Vea came back, so you were down 1 out of 21, 1 out of 22 starters that season.
I would love to see something like that this year.
But see, that's what I mean is like 2020, like what BA's system is it's not this continual thing year after year. What happened? Carson Palmer would always get hurt. So they would have a 13-3 season. Next year, it would be 7-6. Like it was just like this. You could never get consistency because Larry Fitzgerald, you knew what you were going to get.
Yeah.
But you could have great seasons from all these young, speedy receivers, but that's because they had the Scotty Miller role. Like there wasn't this, hey, there's a Trey Palmer who has the skill set. Oh, let's plug him in. Oh, Devin Tompkins is 5'8", 180 nothing. Like we can incorporate his skill set and set this route up so he's not getting jammed at the line of scrimmage the way Scotty Miller was. The way that
release.
Chris Godwin running a route after literally running bam 3 times into a linebacker. Like imagine running like 10 routes after literally running that Godwin tight end up the middle where he's going after, like I'm not going to say like Patrick Willis, but insert like actual big linebackers and taking and defensive tackle. Chris Godwin, I saw him block defensive tackles, defensive ends, linebackers. Like you're bam in every single, like those receivers aren't going to do that this year. They're going to block, sure, but they're not going to be whamming, like toss cracking, but on a run up the middle. Like that type of physicality is going to keep them healthier. It's going to get more third downs to your defense. And I'm not going to give the defense that many excuses other than turnovers. But like the defense is going to be able to be on the sideline actually if you string a couple first downs because you're getting first downs on second, third down. You're not just consistently 3rd and 10. The defense is standing there with their helmets ready to go, like lunch pallets for their first day of school. Like that's not going to be the reality anymore. Again, there might not be more points or not. That 2021 30+ points a game thing is not a reality for this offense.
No,
but 25 and like
just give it
downs a game.
Just give us 24. 24 should be plenty.
Just in the 20s, I feel like I think this defense is good enough. They're going to have variability because that's just what the NFL is. But if this offense is consistently putting 20+ points up, they're going to be in every single game, and that's all you can ask for. I think in the modern NFL is be there in the 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, definitely.
Just get that kick, get that turnover. Like that's just what's going to twist the game.
Yeah.
9 out of 12 games each week are 1-score games.
Yeah, it's always going to be, close, but this team is going to be able to compete and be in every game. I have no doubt about that because this defense is good enough. And obviously we're going to need some injury luck to go our way this year. That's every team. But when you look at it, the offense is just going to be a little bit, probably a lot more efficient as far as just execution, being able to play simple football, but, change it up when it matters. And all they're asking the quarterback to do, unlike the last offense where you put everything on the quarterback, now you're relying on 11 players instead of just one That's a huge difference right there. And
Absolutely.
you're
And
letting
your
these
offensive line
yeah.
knows the expectation. 3 seconds.
Yeah.
My quarterback knows 3 seconds bail.
One
You
1,000,
don't have
two
Jameis
1,000,
Winston
three
running
1,000.
around. You don't have Tom Brady being like, oh shit, chuck in the dirt after 2.5 seconds. Like, you don't have to worry about Donovan Smith being on an island for 40 snaps a game. Like, they're going to have chips. We've already seen it. Even when, running backs miss chips or tight ends miss chips, they were chipping. They weren't chipping the past 3 years. That much I can assure you.
Yep. No, I agree.
So, I mean, when you look at this team, my expectations, and again, my expectations are on the floor, but keeping the defense on their heels, where they can't, like, I know what this team's going to do. I know what they're going to run, and we're going to run this, and we're just going to run over them. This is what we're going to do. I want the offense to be able to look at this and find the deficiencies, fix things, and this is how you run the team. I just don't think I'm just trying to put Byron Leftwich from last year, put that in the past. I want to see what Dave Canales can do. I think he's got quite a bit of talent. When you talk about Trey Palmer, when you talk about Chris Godwin, when you talk about Mike Evans, when you talk about O'Keefe, when you talk about some of these other players that we've seen what they could potentially do, and I just don't think they were put in the optimum position last year. I expect a lot more from this offense as a whole to really, open this game up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, we'll have to see what they can do on Sunday. I just feel like it's going to be better for your skill position players to actually be fed more often, schemed open, relying on your best players to take over the game. So you're not asking your quarterback to be Superman. You're just asking him to get the ball to the right places, to the right spot. And that comes with good scheming, a good game plan. And I think that's what you're going to see on Sunday. We're not going to be going week to week where, oh, great, we have, a great game plan we just know is going to fail. Like, it's not going to be that way. Like, the players, it's going to be on them, and that's how it should be. Like, you have Mike Evans, you have Chris Godwin, you have these guys, Rashad White. They're going to feed these guys the football and find ways to get them the ball and maximize their talent. Yeah. That's something that we've lacked over even in the 2020 season, even in 2021, where we were scoring points.
Yep.
Like, yeah, people forget it was easy to score points back then because you had AB in the slot, you had Gronk, you had 4 options that were open all the damn time. Like,
right.
Who's gonna
Hall of Fame options?
Yeah, who's gonna stop that? Nobody.
Yeah,
nobody's gonna stop that. So, yeah, of course, Tom Brady wanted to come here. Like, that's easy money right there. So,
and that's why you shouldn't listen to any of these, ESPN. Like,
yeah,
a lot of these things are just going to say bear you. I think the Bucs. I think you just got to look between 6 and 10 wins. And that difference is going to come down to how they perform in one-score games.
Yeah,
that's what this team is. The upside is
if you look at what the Bucs have in the running back room compared to what they've had in seasons past, you've got 3. Number 1, Rashad White. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a natural pass catcher.
Wait, no Peyton Barber? That disrespect.
Chase Edmonds. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. These are 2 guys that I've seen, and I'm totally 100% comfortable with you throwing a ball to them, and they're catching it, and they're moving the chains. Mm-hmm. With Tucker, I mean, maybe I'm going to have to lean on you guys. Is this a guy that, he's got nice hands? I mean, compared to what we had with –
if he didn't have the heart condition, he's a 3rd round. Which in the standard of the NFL is a pretty damn good running back.
Oh, absolutely. So what I'm saying here is these are wrinkles that the Bucs have not had, where you've got running backs that can catch the ball out of the backfield and advance it up the field. We have not seen that. We haven't had that. So to me, it's exciting for me. It's something that doesn't get talked about on the national scene. But the Bucs have running backs that can catch the ball. They all got nice hands. Well, I don't know
They
about
also make people miss.
Keyshawn Vaughn. I don't know, but I'm gonna hope. But yeah, speed and space. I remember my man Todd Shaolin Monken, when the way he was running the game was speed and space, and we see that with with what he's doing with Baltimore, and I think that's what you're going to see here is speed and space.
Yeah, I don't think it's not necessarily speed and space. I think it's simplifying the game plan, right? It's understanding what your matchups are, understanding analytics, knowing how to attack defenses, what matchup are you going to exploit. There's going to be purpose to the game plan. I think that's what you're going to see week in and week out. And it's not going to be the same thing every week. We're going to see variation. You're going to see a lot more usage of all the players you have on this offense. So it's not allowing the defense to pinpoint on one thing. Oh, we have to stop this. Obviously, attention is going to go right to Mike Evans, obviously.
Right.
And, they're going to try to shut him down. They're going to try to stop the running game. They're going to try to make Baker Mayfield beat them. So I wouldn't be surprised if, Vikings come up and they try to crowd the line of scrimmage, and that could work. It could not. I mean, if you try to play man coverage against Mike and Chris, yeah, see you later. Baker's going to let that thing fly. So,
and I have to say this, man. I think that with a healthy Chris Godwin, who I keep saying this, people aren't listening. If you watch him on the back end of the season, this guy was coming into his own. He was starting to be a little bit more aggressive. He was starting to make the plays that he needed to, taking more chances. And this guy's 100% healthy this year. That injury is in the rearview mirror. And I think that this is the guy that everybody's overlooking that's going to really hurt him is a Chris Godwin.
He's also the savant of the offense. Brad Idzik and Dave Canales both said he was the one who pretty much taught a lot of the young receivers the nuances of this offense.
That's the beauty of it right there.
Yeah, and I just want to say one thing on, because I didn't touch on when you guys were talking the Mike Evans contract situation. And I'm not saying this is going to happen. I feel like Mike is going to be back. I think they figure it out after this season when they understand what is clear and what direction they can go. They find a way to bring Mike back. But if for whatever reason they decide to either let him walk or whatever, I think they feel confident enough in Chris Godwin being that number one receiver moving forward, because that's why you gave him that $20 million contract. And he's already proven to be, a leader, at that room.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
So guys, I'm not going to ask for picks because I'm superstitious now.
Do we pick tonight?
No, I don't care.
No,
you know my opinion. You know my opinion about Thursday night football. I don't care.
But they've had what?
I made my picks in the pool.
There's a pool?
Yeah, remember the one you do on CBS Sports?
It started?
I did my picks. Yeah. Did no one pick?
Let me get in there. I guess I'll take the L right now.
I need that.
I'll get that to you.
Okay. I picked the Chiefs, by the way. So
I love Pick'em. I think that Andy Reid is his home away from home. He was stuck in Philly all those years. He should have been in Kansas City, I guess. The Hunts will take care of if the Hunts love their coach, the Hunts will take care of their coach. It doesn't matter one way or the other. I mean, they brought Elvis in, and there were Elvis sightings all over the place. Elvis Gerbach, of course. But I digress. All I can say here is that when we're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we love this team. We've seen what this team has done at the height of their best, and we've seen what they've done at the depths with a AKA Swaggy Baker kind of thing that they've had to deal with. But I really believe that, with this coaching staff, if they all trust each other, I believe that if these players trust each other and play together as a team, they win as a unit. I think the Buccaneers win as a unit. I think there are very few games they lose if they're playing collectively as a unit. And maybe I'm wrong here, but that's just kind of where I feel about it.
As bad as last year was, they lost 3 games on just self-inflicted, like small stuff, like the
100%.
Ravens game, like effort and pre-snap penalties and penalties that brought back explosive plays. Like that's what the NFL is. I mean, the whole it's a game of inches. It's literally for the Bucs. Even when they were really good, it was a game of shooting yourself in the foot. That's what I'm hoping the new staff is able to come in. And it sounds like they're really harping on all the small stuff. And I think so far it's played off, but let's see how it is when bullets fly.
And you know what's interesting that you say that? I feel like this coaching staff, there's a lot more teaching. They're not coaching, but they're teaching. And I think there's a big difference between the two when it comes to these guys going out and executing on the field, having a teacher as opposed to a coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I think on both sides, the offense is well, like just the communication, I think has taken a big step forward. So you see everyone on the same page. I think that's going to be important, but I just think the outlook for this season, I think is a win-win. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot more fun. I think we're going to enjoy watching this offense grow gradually. I think you're going to enjoy watching this defense continue to do what they do, which is a very good unit, especially when it's healthy. So, I stated before, I think the floor for this team is 7 wins. I think they can get there. So I see anywhere from 7 to 10 wins is a real possibility. And obviously you need injury luck. You need all those things I discussed before. But it's going to be fun. I just feel like the vibe is going to be a lot better. I think it's going to be a more enjoyable season. And, even if we don't make the playoffs, you're still in a great spot. I think going into next
7 or 8 games, that's Brady. Everyone will tell you Brady's worth what, 3 or 4 wins? And you're telling me you're maybe 1 or tied, 1 off or tied? That's a dub in my eyes. And you have all this momentum. You're going to bring back players. You're still in that middle round of the draft. Like, hey, do you want to get a young guy? Or like, Baker, you did just good enough. We'll give you like a 15 mil. And Baker doesn't necessarily get that 25, 27 mil. Like that's more, apt to what the Bucs will do. But if they make the playoffs, like let's party. Like, I don't care if they get bounced the way the Seahawks did last year. To have all that adversity, and Vegas gave us 6.5 wins.
Right.
So but that's 3 wins. This is what I say to them. If they say 2 or 3 wins, they're Keyshawn Johnson projecting his nephew to go to the Super Bowl. Like
but
Nick White is just going for the Chiefs. Like don't pay attention to any of that. Yeah. Watch the game on Sunday. Just hold off all judgment and just get to see what it looks like, because playing hypothetical games is just not good for anyone.
Exactly. And I can't believe this. We've already been on here an hour. That's crazy. But I do want to say this, and I'm going to give you guys, we're going to go around the horn here in just a second. But I'm going to start this off by saying, Bucs fans, the Bucs do not win this game. Don't panic. Don't jump out of the window. We don't need to fire Todd Bowles. We don't need to get rid of
happened after the bye is what
we do not need to get rid of Jason Light. And if anybody comes on my TL talking about get rid of Jason Light, you better come with somebody that you're replacing him with, because otherwise you're just a whiner. So if that's why you're coming with this, I understand. But for me, I'm on board with Jason Light. I think that Mike Evans will get signed. This is my hot take right here. Mike Evans will get signed, and I'm going out to the Jets fans and the Giants fans.
What did New Jersey do to you?
And you guys are going to get it. I'm coming with both barrels, baby. Just know that. But anyway, Pless, I'm going to start with you, my friend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend. I'm going to be up there in Minnesota, so really looking. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Great weather. Just looking forward to 50-degree weather to get away from this 100-degree heat. I can walk outside and not sweat instantly, so I'm really going to enjoy that. But it should be a lot of fun. But I just say, thank you to all the people in the chat. Appreciate all the comments and support. Be sure to hit that like button. help support Gene and give us subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. We're trying to get this man over 1,000 so he can get monetized. And let's keep it rolling. And I'm just looking for a fun season. So we're finally here. We finally made it, and it's pretty freaking awesome. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Zero expectations for the Bucs right now, and again, it's cautiously optimistic. That's how you got to be. Mm-hmm. KB, my man,
6 to 10 wins. Just have that be your goal. Just somewhere in that realm of possibilities. Don't go, jumping off a cliff. Don't go saying we're going to the Super Bowl. I think both of those lines of thinking are just not healthy for anyone here. But yeah, just look for progress. Again, the Bucs season is going to start after the bye week. 3 out of 4 of the first 4 games are going to be pretty tough. So it's just like, hey, how does this team, start? How do they respond to adversity? And then after they're able to get their stuff together, what does this team look like when the schedule's a little bit easier, and facing some younger QBs, like things are just going to be a little bit easier after that bye. But you also have some challenges in there. So it's just like, hey, how are they going to respond? What's that consistency look like? What does the injury situation look like? Like, these are all just factors. Like, hey, but if this team wins 6 games, great. If this team wins 7 games, amazing. This team wins 8 games. Holy shit, we're in the competition for our division somehow. 9 wins, hell, we might even be in the playoff spot in the NFC. 10 wins, holy shit, we might actually host a home playoff game. Like, that should be a range of like feelings. Under 5, hey, we'll deal with that in February. Hey, like, what does bowls look like? What does the draft? The quarterback?
Go get Ben Johnson.
What's his name in Baltimore? Who we just talked about? Todd Monken.
Or rehire Dave Canales, but I don't think he's ready. So.
Well, and that's the thing is, what if you get an offensive coordinator that comes in, or a offensive or defensive head coach, and it's like, hey, Dave, we saw progress with the offense. Dave's already done really good things with young quarterbacks. Like, hey, he can groom the next guy, or maybe we bring in that middle of the road, the next Baker Mayfield, and you draft someone in the middle of the first, and they sit, and you do all that kind of fun stuff. But you can, if we win 6 games, maybe Baker comes back for another year. Like,
that's another pod.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So there's all of these scenarios. So it's just like, come in week 1 and just be like, hey, what does this team look like? Remember, the Bucs in 2020 scored on their first possession against New Orleans and went down the shitter ever since. So just because you score on the first drive or not doesn't mean you're going to win the game. So come in, let's see what Canales is all about. Let's see if Todd Bowles, if last year was just a microcosm of dealing with, Leftwich, or Todd Bowles, are you just a bad coach? Like, we're going to find that out just by watching. So enjoy it. Grab some popcorn if you're like Gene. Grab a highlight. Just chill. Throw on some red zone if the Bucs are doing bad. That's just you have some outs. You have some fun this season. There's no Brady expectations. If you were complaining about the Brady situation and you're going to complain now, football fandom just might not be it for you.
Exactly.
So relax. The pressure's all off now. We can only go up, in my opinion. Because even if you win 3 games, hell, Drake May, come on down. Hey, Caleb Williams, come on down. So even if you do bad, there's a consolation prize at the end of the rainbow.
Man, this is, like I said, this is going to be a fun season. We don't have the Brady expectations, as you mentioned. And I'm just looking forward to football. And this isn't Swaggy Baker. This isn't all those clowns from 2017, 2018. This is a team that you've got Super Bowl champions on this team. They know how to win. And I expect so much more from this team. And again, if you're looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers thinking this is going to be an easy win, you may want to rethink life on that right there, because I don't think Tampa's going to lay down for anybody. I'm sure there will be that Bucs Life blowout game, I'm sure, at some point in the season. But for the most part, the Bucs are going to go out there and do what they do. And I believe that you've got a good defensive coordinator in Todd Bowles, regardless of what you say. And then you've got Dave Canales. I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table as well. You've got a team that everybody does their job and they go out there and play and they win and lose as a team. I think that will only strengthen this team as we go forward. So that's pretty much it for me. And I did want to say, you guys, any final thoughts from you guys?
No, I'm good. I'm just I'm still laughing at my dog because my dog keeps barking. I'm like trying not.
I can't hear him.
Okay, good.
Harley, yeah, you can't. I can't hear it either. But Harley saying, I got Ted saying, "Get me out here too." So, yeah.
Hey, come on, hurry up and get done with that podcast, buddy.
But yeah, final thoughts. I mean, I'm just really excited for the season. Be sure to, like I said before, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel. Also, if you guys are, not subscribed to Real Bucs Talk, please go check that out. We got a lot of great content for the season. I'm going to be on here probably throughout the season with Gene, so really looking forward to that. And we hope to have Ken on, every now and again. Hopefully he can sneak in and
he's making that money.
Well, now I realized our podcast is now on 2 YouTube channels because now I'm like, where are all these comments coming from? I'm on Gene's feed. And I'm like, did YouTube just like change on me? But no. We're technically live on 2 places at once.
You know what? And I do want to thank Real Bucs Talk for this. Man, this is great. Just have an opportunity to do this. I do this for fun. Mm-hmm. I'm a Bucs fan, but I want to give listeners the opportunity to comment in the chat. And I keep promising that I'm going to get the phone lines open. Next week, the phone lines will be open. I want your reactions to the Bucs versus the Vikings. I want to hear what you guys have to say, because to me, without fans, without listeners, you don't have a show. And you guys don't, I've watched a lot of shows and the listeners don't get the love they deserve, but I want to make sure you guys get that. So if you want to call in next week, have your thoughts together, one shot, call in and we go to the next caller. So look forward to that next week.
Yep, absolutely.
But anyway, I'm out of here, and we will do this again next Thursday. KB, Ples, thank you guys so much. Love you guys. Love everybody in the chat. Thank you, and we